end of the year, you know, and a preparation for the new year. So most of the time after the Boxing Day, it's a time where you need to, you know, look at the year in retrospect, you know, think about things that you've not been able to achieve, you know, things that you feel that it should have changed or done in a better way. Then, you know, the remaining days of the year, you know, looks like preparing for the new year. All right, there's a lot to talk about this morning, but yes, we'll get to that part in a second. That will be in our fourth segment of this show. But yes, let's move straight to the very first segment where we talk about what is trending, because regardless of the Christmas that we've talked about, which we have in the mood now, the season, the atmosphere, you know, right now we still got our challenges in Nigeria. The issue of insecurity is there, and some other, you know, matters that are germane to our livelihood as Nigerians, and not just that, all the concerns of the international world. But we'll take a break now, and when we come back, Frontline, we continue to stay with us.
Glory! Get ready for the December edition of Baptist Night of Wonders of the Nigerian Baptist Convention with the team Live. Join thousands of believers at Oritamefa Baptist Church, Total Garden, Ibadan. A night of worship, testimonies, and divine encounter on 19th December 2025. The time is 10 p.m. It's the season of Christmas. Come and let us rejoice in the Lord. Baptist Night of Wonders, where God's presence gives you life.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
The season is here again. It's Christmas. New Frontiers Television invites churches, schools, and organizations to partner with us for the full coverage of your Christmas carol service, whether live transmission or high-quality recorded production. Let the message of hope, joy, and celebration reach thousands of viewers across our platform. Our team is ready to give your event the spotlight it deserves. For partnership enquiries, please contact 080-666-06519 or 080-3578-2398. It's Christmas, the season of joy.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us on New Frontiers Television. And now we will move straight to one of the stories that is germane to livelihood in Nigeria. And not just that, in recent time now, you know that the issue of electricity drop. There's been interest drop, you know, these days. I don't know, do you have electricity in your area?
No, we don't.
All right, yeah. In IBEDC, that's the Ibadan Distribution Company, yesterday also, you know, sent a publication that there's been drop, you know, in the issue of electricity, and which would, you know, obviously means that there will be shortage in the distribution. Yes, and that has been, you know, the current situation of the electricity in some parts of the country. Now, this morning, let's talk about the regulatory body now that regulates these electricity companies. And the president has now appointed a new director, or the new chairman for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, following the confirmation of the commission's board members by the Senate, and that's Dr. Musiliu Oseni. And Oseni's appointment indicates that Tinubu has dropped Ramat, that's Abdullahi Ramat, whose name has been initially sent to the Senate for confirmation. Don't forget that there was a report that Ramat, who is the former chairman of the Ugogo local government area in Kano State, was nominated for the NERC chairmanship position by Tinubu on the August 7. And according to the statement by the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, that's Bayo Onanuga, he said that the nomination came when the immediate past chairman, Sanusi Garba, left the office. Ramat, who is a 39-year-old, stormed Abuja, obviously to take the leadership without the approval or the confirmation by the National Assembly. And yes, he left the scene following the criticism by his sudden assumption of office. You know, caused a lot of rancors, you know, because people were expecting that your name was just mentioned and you moved straight, you know, to the office. And Ramat, you know, waited weeks for that approval from the committee of the Senate to be, done. But yes, there's been a lot of allegation, against him.
Yeah, and based on that, it will be recorded there were allegations from some of its loyalists that the Senate was paid $10 million to stop the nominees' confirmation, and members of a Kano-based civil advocacy group, Grassroots Initiative Concept, also staged a protest at the National Assembly, urging the Senate to urgently confirm Ramat appointment. However, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, described the $10 million allegation as baseless, and according to report, Adaramodu explained that the Senate decided to suspend Ramat's screening and confirmation due to barrage of public and private complaints raised against his nomination, and hence why the president has appointed Dr. Mulisiu Hussaini as the chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. And I believe that it's one of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to wage war against corruption and even corrupt leaders as well. And looking at this, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, I think it's high time that fresh blood, new hands step in to see to the affair of this particular commission and how it affects Nigerians who are the end users of electricity. And the only thing that I believe Nigeria could look forward to is to see developments that will be beneficial to Nigerians in the area of power supply and every other issues surrounding it.
Yes, the Senate has the responsibility to do that, while Nigerians also has responsibility to receive a good deliberation from them. Now, let's still beam a spotlight on the Senate right now, as there is a nomination. There's waiting for the confirmation, which was already done. Don't forget that a few days ago, the president forwarded some names as nomination for approval at Ambassador Doria, list that's for some non-career and while some others were career-based. And yesterday, the Senate confirmed the nomination of one of them, who is the former Minister of Aviation, that's Femi Fani-Kayode, also Reno Mercury, who is one time the presidential aide, and also 60 others as ambassadors. This decision followed the consideration and abduction of a report by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, which screened the ambassadorial nominees, which was put forward by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, the committee in its report stated that all the nominees were thoroughly screened and found suitable for appointments based on their qualifications, experience, conduct, and knowledge of international diplomacy. The Thursday exercise came about 48 hours after the upper chamber confirmed 3 nominees of President Bola Tinubu as non-career ambassadors, and the earlier confirmed nominees are Lateef Kayode Are from Ogun State, Aminu Dawal Atu from Jigawa, and Ayodele Oke from Oyo State. And the list comprises 34 career ambassadors and high commissioners and 30 non-career ambassadors and high commissioners, bringing the total number of confirmed nominees to 64, where it's a development that I believe that it's coming at the right time for Nigeria, because this development is actually a long overdue, and because we have the embassies not being manned by ambassadors. But now that the Senate has confirmed the president's nominees for this various position, we look forward to beautiful bilateral relationship between Nigeria and other countries, and how it's going to drive the economy, how it's going to make lives better for Nigerians, both at home and in diaspora.
Yes, and that's what we have, where the list is to mention. This list of ambassadors consists of 34 career ambassadors and high commissioners, while we have 30 non-career ambassadors and high commissioners, which brings a total of the confirmation to 64. All right, so in some countries where we don't have ambassadors now, we have that, yes, this would have fixed, those problems. And yes, Nigerians can have representatives, in most of these countries, as it were. All right, in my introduction, I did mention that some germane topics cannot just be left untalked about, in every of our conversation in recent time. And that's one of the issue that we are talking about right now. And that has to do with the issue of insecurity. And that's one of the questions that we begin to ask ourselves. How well has this government been able to tackle this issue of insecurity? But it looks like the president has not been sitting on his houses, rather has been trying everything possible. But yes, Nigerians still look forward to how well that translates to, a well-meaning Nigerians having to close their eyes and being protected, including themselves and their properties. All right, now on Thursday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, renewed again his push for the creation of state police, where he revealed that he had assured the United States and the European partners that he would implement state police. He also stressed that the state police must happen as part of efforts to improve internal security and also strengthen governance at the subnational level. Tinubu also mentioned these at one of the APC House yesterday, where he also insisted that local government autonomy must work in practical terms, urging governors to stop withholding funds meant for council chairpersons.
Yeah, the president's comments came amid rising security pressures across the country, renewed calls for decentralized policing, and push to implement Supreme Court judgments on local government autonomy and direct allocations to councils. Tinubu told party leaders that the APC, as the majority party, must show leadership through reconciliation, accommodation, and flexibility at the grassroots level, and he urged governors and other stakeholders to take responsibility for what happens in their states and local government. And just as we also been mentioning, that the fight against insecurity is not just in the hand of the federal government. This is a task that involve all the government at all levels, the state, the local government, and the federal government. And obviously, it indicates that the government is leaving no stone unturned in this fight against banditry and insurgency. And the good part of it is that the president is also pushing for state police, which has been on the table for debate for a long time. And thank God that we have the president also giving his consent to the creation of state police. However, I think the big question comes on how adequately will this be funded by state governments, and we only look forward to state governments doing what they need to do to ensure that state policing works in their respective states for the safety of lives and property of their residents, as much as the federal government is doing its best to ensure that they put an end to any form of insecurity in the country. The state government and the local government should not fold their hands in a critical time and a sensitive time like this that Nigeria found ourselves, to ensure that we wage war against every form of insecurity in the country. And the president is pushing for that and making consultations, exploring suggestions from different quarters, and we can only look forward to a safe and a better Nigeria moving forward.
Yes, the president did not just only talk about the issue of insecurity, but also talked about the parties showing a form of leadership through reconciliation, accommodation, and flexibility at the grassroots level, which way he urged governors and stakeholders, to also take responsibility. The president, also talked about political reconciliation and internal party cohesion, which says that the leaders at all levels has a role, to do if we want to talk about stability and progress. And he did emphasize more on the issue of this autonomy, where he mentioned that it would be, meaningless if the councils were not adequately funded.
Exactly.
Saying that allocation meant for the local government must directly go to them. And we all know that this issue has lingered for quite a number of time now. Yes, although it has met with some bureaucracies and bottlenecks, but however, if we're talking about progress or grassroots improvement, we need not stress our head that, because we do know that development comes from should come from the state, from the local government, because it's more. Yes, when we're doing government in those days, we were told that the closest, in fact, part of the exams that we write then, that when they ask you which local government is the closest to the people, and it's the local government, which means that yes, it was the local government. And yes, I remembered quite well that before 1999 that we had, I remember vividly, yes, before 1999 that we used to have what's it called, local government. It was more effective then. you know, we could in my area, you know who is our the supervisor, who is our councillors, you know. Yes, we could, you know, identify them. As a matter of fact, our chairman, you know, for the local government is still within the community, you know, quite accessible. And at least few of the times, you know, I've had, you know, 1 or 2 chairmen, you know, children in my class, and you know, these are people who are much closer to us. You know, we don't see them as politicians. Actually, you know, we see them more as a representative, you know, from the community. Because I remember, you know, one of the councillors, you know, it's like any other person, you know, in the community. Not like now that, you know, councillors also want to have security guards, you know, having to escort them everywhere they go to, not to talk about the chairman, you know, of local government who will not be accessible. You know, there's a part where we need to talk about accessibility of those people. You know, autonomy is a different ball game entirely. You know, when they have the fund, you know, that's what President Bola Tinubu is talking this morning, is about, you know, taking responsibility and being accountable for it. Because if we don't do that, you know, there's a part where the monies, the office is well funded. There's a part where you are accessible and, you know, relatable with the needs of the people. And in this conversation this morning, President Bola Tinubu did talk about, you know, it's high time that there will be less of party funding or party rather, you know, funding more of the government, you know, so that the people can go home, you know, and, you know, sleep with their 2 eyes quite closed.
Yeah, it's very, very important, even though if the local government autonomy has created a lot of controversy, bottlenecks, as you've mentioned, and all of this could be traced to power, a battle for power at the state level, because no state government wants everybody wants to accrue power to himself or herself, and this is exactly what is happening that makes this local government autonomy to experience some bottlenecks. But amidst of all this, if you have to weigh the pros and the cons, the options, you will say that it has a lot of advantages more than disadvantages. Looking at how closer the local government is to the people at the grassroots, the development that needs to take place, that the local government do not have to wait until the fund is being released by the state government, and they need to carry out those projects, those developments, without necessarily have to wait for the approval or the fund descending to the local government. So these are the things that actually make it look so good and benefiting for the people at the grassroots. Though we can understand the part of the state government trying to look at transparency, accountability and all, but the option, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, because people at the grassroots do not have access, direct access to the state government or the federal government. They only have direct access to the local government. So funds should go directly to them for them to meet the needs and to carry out on developmental projects that will be for the people at the grassroots. So we look forward to the implementation of this autonomy, and not just some black and white print in the papers or in the newsprint. We look forward to the implementation so that the people at the grassroots could also feel or derive the benefits of democracy.
And also, you know, while we're talking about these, I think it's quite related. It's about what of President, you know, Bola Tinubu, you know, was talking about this morning, and that's the some of the promises that he, you know, also made to the U.S. counterparts and the European partners, and that's the issue of state policing, you know, which also boils down on the local, you know, empowerment. You know, when we empower the people at the local, you know, local government, you know, local areas, you know, it even is the job of the federal government. I believe that if power has been decentralized, you know, it boils down to the people who understands their own plight. You know, it's just like, you know, areas where you have someone amidst you who understands, you know, how you apply the road, you know, how there's not been electricity in your area, you know, have you been having, you know, issue of, you know, maybe attack or by bandits, you know, one time or the other. They would be able to take decision appropriately, you know, rather than, you know, having invested power.
Have to wait,
you know, and that's one of the agitations that we've had at the state level, where some areas in some state, or even all state rather, not just in a particular state now, you know, sometimes feel marginalized, you know, when they feel that, oh, there's a particular government, you know, who have neglected this area, you know, of this people in this area for a long time. But we believe that, yes, when power is being decentralized to areas like that, then everyone, will be able to represent, of their own group. And yes, if anyone is not representing well, then we know
they know what next to do.
What next to do.
It even give them this sense of accountability.
I think I believe so more. Yes, the president has did promise that state policing, they will look into the issue of state policing, and did mention that it's a must, and that would go a long way in sanitizing our environment from this issue of kidnapping, banditry, or just like let me use the word of the Senate president, who mentioned that this issue of insecurity orchestrated insecurity that we have in Nigeria currently. All right, now a lot to talk about, just like I mentioned, on the issue of insecurity, and yes, that's one of the matters that has been on the conversation for quite a number of weeks now. And as much as the president is doing everything possible to remove these on the lips of journalists, and conversations like these would ensure that we'll bring you updates, as to that. Let me mention that as we do this Christmas, festivity, including the New Year, ensure that you stay safe. All right, let's take a very short break now. When we come back, to the time for us to take a look at what we have on our national dailies for this morning. There's been a lot of conversations going on, yes, and it's been printed on our national dailies, and we'll take a look at that. But that will be after this break. Do stay with us.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
The season is here again. It's Christmas. New Frontiers Television invites churches, schools, and organizations to partner with us for the full coverage of your Christmas carol service, whether live transmission or high-quality recorded production. Let the message of hope, joy, and celebration reach thousands of viewers across our platform. Our team is ready to give your event the spotlight it deserves. For partnership enquiries, please contact 080-666-06519 or 080-3578-2398. It's Christmas, the season of joy.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Jingle, oh say it.
Glory! Get ready for the December edition of Baptist Night of Wonders of the Nigerian Baptist Convention with the team Live. Join thousands of believers at Oritamefa Baptist Church, Total Garden, Ibadan. A night of worship, testimonies, and divine encounter on 19th December 2025. The time is 10 p.m. It's the season of Christmas. Come and let us rejoice in the Lord. Baptist Night of Wonders, where God's presence gives you life.
Oh, da, da. Oh, say it. Bells, jingle all the way.
The season is here again. It's Christmas. New Frontiers Television invites churches, schools, and organizations to partner with us for the full coverage of your Christmas carol service, whether live transmission or high-quality recorded production. Let the message of hope, joy, and celebration reach thousands of viewers across our platform. Our team is ready to give your event the spotlight it deserves. For partnership enquiries, please contact 080-666-06519 or 080-3578-2398. It's Christmas, the season of joy.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
The season is here again. It's Christmas. New Frontiers Television invites churches, schools, and organizations to partner with us for the full coverage of your Christmas carol service, whether live transmission or high-quality recorded production. Let the message of hope, joy, and celebration reach thousands of viewers across our platform. Our team is ready to give your event the spotlight it deserves. For partnership enquiries, please contact 080-666-06519 or 080-3578-2398. It's Christmas, the season of joy.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Glory! Get ready for the December edition of Baptist Night of Wonders of the Nigerian Baptist Convention with the team Live. Join thousands of believers at Oritamefa Baptist Church, Total Garden, Ibadan. a night of worship, testimonies, and divine encounter on 19th December 2025. The time is 10 p.m. It's the season of Christmas. Come and let us rejoice in the Lord. Baptist Night of Wonders, where God's presence gives you life. Glory! Get ready for the December.
All right, so this next song, it's a very fun one. If you love counting to 12, this is the song for you. And no, it's not Sesame Street. On the first day of Christmas, my true love beat to be upon a tree.
On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Doves in the partridge in a pear tree.
Christmas,
In the partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my child gave me French toast. Doves in the partridge in a pear tree. On the eighth day of Christmas, my child gave and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the ninth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Drummers drumming drums and broken things.
French toast, doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the ninth.
Drummers drumming. It's late.
Doves in the partridge in a pear tree.
9 drummers drumming. It's the late. Calling bird.
French toast, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. Wow.
Christmas, my true love gave to me. 9 drummers drumming. I'm calling bird.
Turtle doves in the
Tree. Bum, bum.
Thank you.
So much for staying to with us on Frontline this morning. Now let's take a look at what we have on the front pages of our national dailies for today, December 19, 2025. I'll be starting with the Punch newspaper that has this bold headline: Reps probe tax laws tweaks, PTB demands suspension. The riders to that story: House raises 7-man ad hoc panel, presidency warns against sabotage, says tax law not anti-people. Details of all that on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Senate confirms Fani Kayode Omokri 60 others as ambassadors. Details on page 7. South African police shoots Nigerian man dead at traffic stop. Details on pages 4 and 5. Court okays Malami's further detention by EFCC. Details on page 7. Besides the nameplates, MTEF rep Senate disagree over crude oil benchmark. Details on page 29. And above the nameplate now, insecurity. Tinubu pledges state police to US, European allies. Details on page 7. World Bank to approve $500 million loan for Nigeria today. Details on page 20. And lastly, UTAD. NSA alert governors to beef up security. Details on page 26. The more shall be taken on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Yes, let's move straight to the front page of The Guardian. On the front page of The Guardian, I have when pain of reform, old scar, old new tax era promises. And the story, the big story, it says, is on page 4 and page 5. All right, there's a picture story here where there is a plane, of new tax law. And yes, there's another opening that says we would have these off the ground in no time. All right, there's preparation for that plane to take off. Okay, moving ahead now. Fresh nationwide defection seat tilt 2027 balance as APC tightens grip. Story is right there on page 6. 6 ex-PDP governors attend as Tinubu hosts APP caucus in Aso Villa. Ex-Labour Minister Ngige gets bail in alleged 2.2 billion naira fraud charges. Federal government receives decision, reopen 47 federal unity colleges. And the story is on page 7. Bakin-Ladi attack death toll rises to 14. And another one says Yusuf comments Tinubu Bichi over 47 billion Wuju Road in Kano. And just below the nameplate, Ahmed defend finances, welcomes a probe of children's education funding. Senate confirms 64 ambassadorial nominees. And lastly, PDP caretaker committee dissolves 14 state exco, fixes January for congresses. And the story is right there on page 3. And that's much I have on The Guardian.
Now on Vanguard newspaper, oil sector, far-reaching reforms coming. Eyeson Mohammed vow. The riders to that story, Tinubu's NUPRC, NMDPRA CEOs nominee assure at Senate screening will ensure investor confidence, accelerate gas development. Eyeson. Nigeria losing enormous value due to manual processes. Others. There will be strict enforcement of contracts, quality standard. Mohammed. Details of all that on page 5 of the Vanguard. Tax laws. Altering legislations through official gazette. Illegal. Lawyers. Reps constitute committee to probe alleged alterations. Details of that on page 2. Governor Yusuf Lord Tinubu Bichi over 47 billion naira Wuju Road. Details on page 9. Uncertainty over NAF aircraft departure to Portugal after release in Burkina Faso. Details on page 9. Electoral Act. Reps back 2-year jail term. 5 million naira fine for vote buyers, sellers. Details on page 8. Tinubu to governors. Obey Supreme Court judgment. Let local governments get their allocations. Details of that on page 8. And above the nameplate, NSIA grows assets to $3 billion. Built Nigeria health, agriculture and infrastructure sectors. Details of that on page 90. The mulch will be taken on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, leadership for this morning. That's Friday leadership. It says commission 30,000 pensioners to receive free health care in fourth quarter of 2026. And the writer says that federal government unveils pen care beneficiaries to be elected from 6 geopolitical zones. And that's to page 4. Nigerian Air Force C-130 crew continues mission after Burkina Faso release, and the story is on page 7. And on politics, the Senate confirms Yakubu Ibase, okay, 61 others as ambassadors. Free council funds embrace state police, president tells governors. The story is on page 4. Dangote's petition, Farouk Ahmed's resignation will not affect investigation, says anti-graft agency. I wasn't really a member of People's Democratic Party, and it's coming from Fubara. And a story on the news on the leadership, it says Rep OK's electronic transmission of results, a 7-man House committee to probe alleged alteration of tax law. All right, that's much I have. Okay, let me take this very last one on page 6. It says author of book on Buhari claims cabals exist in Tinubu's administration too. And that's much I have on the front page of the leadership, Friday leadership for today.
Now let's take a look at what we have on this day newspaper. In major diplomatic reset, Senate confirms 64 ambassadors. The riders Okes Yakubu, Fani Kayode, Dambazao, Ibas, Omokri, subject Tinubu's oil regulator Mohammed Eyeson to rigorous screening. Nominees promise digitization, gas discipline, investor confidence. We have that story on the front page of this day, and it's continued on page 38. At APC Hackers meeting, Tinubu assures Nigeria's state police will become reality. The story on the front page continues on page 38 of this day. Above the nameplate, petroleum marketers back in country refining, oppose unbridled fuel importation. Details on page 41. And lastly, Boni, investors dispute raises questions over investor protection in Zambia. The story on the front page continues on page 30. Those were the headlines on the front page of this day newspaper for this morning.
All right, let's take a look at what we have on another paper for this morning. Let's say that we've taken a look at, and do you still have
let's take a look at what we have on Daily Trust now. New budget as 2025 lags. The story on the front page continues on page 2. Reps raise presidential campaign expenses to 10 billion naira. Governorship 3 billion naira. The riders OKE transmission of election results. Details of that on page 4. Tax law alterations. Presidency silent. Reps raise probe panel. Details on page 5. Federal government reopens Unity schools after 28-day closure. Details on page 18. Boko Haram abducts Borno local government vice chair, councillors. We have that story on page 8 of Daily Trust newspaper. The more will be taken on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper for this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at what we have on sport. Let's just take what we have on the front page of the Punch Sports Extra this morning. It says on Crown Kings, Drogba Kano leads African legend without AFCON trophy. That's on page 6. City Tigers Maracas as next coach. Wright wants Fernandez as at Arsenal. Qatar to host Spain. Argentina finaliza clash. Nigeria wins 8 wrestling gold at African Youth Games. And on page 2, Joshua battles Paul in Miami today. Simon rules Frederick's AFCON absence. Eagles calls off training after late Morocco arrival. And on page 7, it says Eagles not good enough. That's coming from Odegbami. Nigeria football deserves better. It's coming from Mikel. Igalo backs Oshime for Eagles captaincy. United spoil I-10 Stengen. And that's much I have on the front page of the Punch Sport Extra, for this morning.
Now let's have what we have on Daily Times. Reps set up 7-man ad hoc committee to probe alleged alterations in tax laws. We have that story on the front page continued on the inside page of Daily Times. Senate confirms 64 career, non-career ambassadorial nominees. The story on the front page continues on page 2. Tinubu set to present 2026 budget to National Assembly today. Details of that on page 11. Now above the nameplate, federal government moves to revive abandoned government press, end years of waste. We have that story on the insert page. And lastly, UTAD rush. FAAN assures seamless travel as airports brace for peak traffic. We have the story also on the insert page of Daily Times for this morning. The much I'll be doing on the front page of Daily Times.
All right, that's the much we would be taking this morning on the review of the front pages of our national dailies. You can join us again some of the time. All right, we will take a break now to allow for the news from our news center. When we come back, we will begin our conversation that we talked about at the beginning of the program that we'll be talking about now. Let's take a look at this season, season of
Detty December.
Detty December, right? That's the start. All right. What's your view? What's your opinion about that? Are you preparing, for that? As will be the basis of our conversation, and for the enjoyable part of that is you can be part, of that conversation. The phone box on the line, will be active, so you can, be the part of the conversation and join it right here in the studios. All right, let's take a break now to allow for the news from our news center. Stay with us.